In this video, I'm going to tell you how Mars lines in astrocartography can get really messy, right? But before we start, hello guys, I'm Rolf Tumis, aka the Pragmatic Astrologer, and one of the things that I've done in the past 10 years was obsessively researching what works in astrology, what gets you measurable results. So my big focus in the beginning of this YouTube channel is going to be astrocartography. Why? Because astrocartography works and it's awesome. I've been on my Mars midheaven line several times, and the Mars midheaven line means that in the exact moment when I was born, there were places where Mars was in the mid-sky, which has a very significant effect over there. And not too long ago, I was in a situationship with a woman, and at some point I felt hurt, so I ended things romantically. However, because I saw a great potential in our charts that we could help each other evolve, I offered to stay friends with her. Unfortunately, in the very beginning, I already should have noticed several big red flags. Right? But I'm sure you also have been in a situation where you completely ignored things like that because you just enjoyed the time that you spent with that person way too much, right? To give you examples, she seemed to keep only male friends surrounding her and giving them the impression that she was available, right? I found this short clip on YouTube. Just take a look, perhaps you might even learn something from this.
She would do this.
Oh, how is that for subtle?
Another thing that really disturbed me was that she seemed to give her male friends false hope, right? And then feeding off their validation. Now, the main reason why this triggered me was because several times in my life in the past, I've had the exact same thing done to me. But there has been one point where I actually called her out on something that was a red flag to me, which was her sometimes using a girly, childish voice, a child's voice, in order to get something, right? And that's something that I called her out on very early because it's just something that is really obvious to me and I don't like it. Now, to be fair, she didn't have the easiest childhood, right? And she's very intelligent. She can be very lovely too. And what's also important to say is that she was very well organized, right? Which is something that, is very cool for me because I am more disorganized. So I prefer, to have someone who's organized and structured. And so that was really good. And one thing that she did, what I'm very grateful for, is she pushed me to get another apartment because I wanted out of my old apartment. I wanted to go to a newer one, and now it's a phenomenal place. I'm really happy about that. So I am grateful for some things as well. Now, I, on the other hand, gave her what she said was her best birthday experience ever. That was one thing. And what I'm really proud of was that I pushed her to learn a subject she's really passionate about, and now she gives consultations based on that, what she learned. And to be honest, I'm sure she's doing an amazing job. Now, let's talk about how my Mars line driven anger already started before we even went on a trip together, right? A trip to Greece that we already had booked when we were back then when we were romantically involved, right? And we decided to go there anyways as friends. And the organization of this trip was absolutely nerve-wracking for the both of us, really. And why was I angry? Well, when we decided to organize a trip, her way of going on trips is very different than I would do it, right? For me, I tend to go to places for longer and really I like to have the immersion, right? Soaking in the energy of places, while she really loves to jump from one place to the other and get as many impressions as possible, right? And since I'm open-minded, I was like, okay, let's do it exactly your way, because I'm interested, how maybe I can learn something from how you do it. Maybe it's going to be an interesting experience, and let's do that, right? So I let her organize or tell us how to organize it, and she wanted me to contribute in the organization, which I offered, right? So I offered, my contribution, helping with the organization, but nothing that I've contributed ever seemed good enough for her. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And it was nerve-wracking and it was saddening. And the thing was that at some point, I was even not sure if I wanted to go on the trip with her anymore. So that was already a red flag. And by the way, this is already a form of remote activation because you are already connecting to the place when you organize to go there. Now let's talk about how my anger was really fueled after we arrived at the airport in Athens, right? So the first experience that I had there was going to the baggage claim. I had a big suitcase, she had just the hand luggage. So I had to take my baggage out of the baggage claim. And while I was standing there, she just started walking past me, waving half-heartedly, and then leaving the airport, right? And she went out, so I was like, okay, interesting. I waited for my luggage, and once I got it and I went out of the airport, she was nowhere to be found, right? So I wandered around for 10 minutes, really angry, and also asking myself how to deal with this power struggle that's already happening right now, right? So I didn't really know what to do. And after 10 minutes, around 10 minutes, she came back as if nothing happened and tried to pressure me to go to the bus as quickly as possible while I had, a very heavy suitcase. So the thing was, I was already not really giving in anymore. So I was starting to, say like, nope, I cannot go that fast. So we missed one bus. And missing one bus meant just waiting 5 minutes longer for the next bus. So there was actually no real reason to, be pressured to go really quickly. We didn't have any appointments. So that was my first experience on my Mars line with her. And this was just the beginning of my anger. Now, during the rest of the trip, she was nice once in a while. However, there were things that she did that she didn't do when we were still romantically involved, right? When we went out eating, for example, she was on her phone all the time. And also, for me, since I thought we went as a team, it was important, to also act that way. And I didn't feel that she was doing that. I felt that she was actually doing the opposite often enough. And she was even complaining that when she was together with me, that she was getting less attention from other guys. Right? So then when we, after 5 days from Athens, went to the beautiful island of Crete, and it's really, I'm saying beautiful because it's amazing. You definitely have to go there at some point. Is that there the power struggles continued and they got even worse. So we were in a car that we rented, and at some point my phone wasn't working. The navigation system of my phone, because of connection problems, didn't work. So I asked her to use her phone, because we've done that before on the other side. And she ignored it. She said, oh, you have already the address, even though it was in Greek language, and I cannot read Greek language at the moment. So she ignored me. She put on her AirPods and just ignored me. So I had to put in some center place in the city and drive there. And that was the moment when I was really starting to get dark thoughts, right? And I'm sure a lot of you people know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a big difference. There's a fine line between fantasy and actually taking action, right? So please bear that in mind when I say this. But I'm sure that some of you can understand the anger that was starting to fuel within me, right? So then we went to the other rented apartment. She went to take a nap. I took my things. I booked a new place on my phone, went out, and a few hours later I told her, by the way, we are going to continue this trip separately. Now, the first response that she had was, well, you're no angel either. I was like, well, what do you mean I was no angel? Like, tell me something where I did something, or tell me what I did wrong so we can talk about this. But she couldn't really say anything about it. So yes, after some point, like the only thing that she was concerned about, that I was paying back the accommodations that she paid for in advance, right? And then she was getting abusive via text, and I just blocked her. I went on Spotify, turned on Limp Bizkit, a song from my childhood, which is the song My Way, right? And then the next 7 days, I worked on starting to enjoy this beautiful place, because it is hard, even if you go to the most beautiful places, when you're angry and when you hold a grudge in you, it's hard to enjoy the places, very obviously, right? So it's important, also for me, this was a big learning, because I have been on the same line on other places, on the same Mars line on other places, and I had the best experiences, the most amazing ones, and fun ones. So what's important is, also because of me feeling hurt back in the past when things didn't work out with her, I didn't really did a lot of physical workout. I wasn't really Martian. And also, being physically fit makes you confident. It makes it much easier to set boundaries and to stand up for yourself. So I wasn't really at my best, right? And that's also one of the reasons why I allowed so many things happen to me, even though I was really not feeling good with it. And it's important that if you too go to a Mars sign, or maybe even you live on a Mars sign and you don't even have the chance to go somewhere else, and you experience similar things, then you need to make sure that you become more of a warrior, right? That's very important. You need to make sure to set strong boundaries, to be strong, to be Martian, and also, find ways to give Mars an outlet, which typically is physical activity, right? Because otherwise, if you don't give Mars the outlet, you're gonna be the outlet that Mars will give you. Have a beautiful day, and please comment, tell me your stories about Mars. I'm sure you experience a lot of dramas on your Mars lines. I'm very interested. Comment them, please. React to the video. If you dislike it, give me a dislike, because that's how I learn. And I'm looking forward to your feedback in this and also in the next videos. Guys, before I forget, in my next video, I'm going to show you why Jim Lewis didn't like his Mars lines. There are several very good reasons for it. And the reason why I want to show you this is so you understand that it really depends on your chart if a planetary line is challenging or not, right? So see you in the next video. Goodbye.